I want to thank you. I am not as natural of a storyteller as Jordana is, and I certainly don't make very tasty beer. But I am going to try to make this go as fast and as interestingly as possible. One of the things that I find really amazing at our conference, especially this year, I think, is the variety of the types of businesses, employee-owned businesses that we are highlighting and showcasing here today. I think you just look at the two keynote speakers that we've had today, and you can see that there's employee ownership cuts across a lot of different things. So at today's conference, we have the great honor to recognize two companies who have succeeded in getting their employee-owned company off to a good start. And these two companies, again, showcase the variety of the employee ownership experience that we're highlighting here today. And we also have a large number of companies that are celebrating some milestones this year. We took a look prior to this year's conference to see which companies were hitting milestones. You know, we're talking about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And we got a list of about 20 companies. And we were like, oh, what are we going to do with that? So we decided to contact all of them and ask them if they wanted to come in and get a milestone award. And we got quite a few that said yes, they could make it here today. So we're going to be celebrating a bunch of those folks as well. And of course, we also have the Memorial John Logue Award that we're going to be recognizing a company that has reached, I think, a level of excellence that John, our founder, would be proud to recognize and would be glad that we're recognizing here today as well. One of the things I wanted to say a little bit ahead of time is I tend to move, so my voice is probably going to come in and out on the sound here. But I've been working at the Ohio Employee Ownership Center for about 15 years, and I can remember distinctly, and it's really not that long ago when you take a look at how long employee ownership has been out there. But even then, in the wider world, employee ownership was sometimes looked at as a gimmick, a fad. Something that a lot of folks maybe didn't take very seriously as an option for their business. And of course, we in this room know better. We see it here with all the companies that are here today. And today we get to celebrate that fact that these companies are real businesses, making real products, providing real services, creating real jobs, and creating real wealth for our friends and our neighbors in our communities. So it's one of the joys of my job. Every time I have to go fix and swap out a laptop at the last second, I start thinking, ouch, but then I get to stand up in front of you folks here today and recognize these great companies. So first off, I'd like to recognize two companies for getting their worker-owned business off to a good start. These two companies are very different, both in size and in product and service, and even in the form of employee ownership, with one being an ESOP and the other being a worker cooperative. With these two companies, we get to celebrate that diversity that I mentioned earlier, that is employee ownership. And I think, despite that diversity, the common theme underlying both these companies and all the companies that we have here today with us is that providing workers a stake in the business in which they work is good for them, it's good for business, and it's good for our country as well. So the first one I'd like to recognize, I'm not a natural storyteller, I have notes, so you'll see me looking down. We want to celebrate Patty Cake Bakery out of Columbus for getting their worker-owned cooperative off to a good start. Patty Cake is a vegan dessert bakery cooperative. They serve handcrafted sweets made from scratch, and I can tell you that if you've never had a vegan cookie, I can tell you they're pretty awesome, because I've had a chance to have some of their cookies. They make very good cookies. I'm a cookie guy. I stuck with the cookies. I bought a dozen of them. So, the bakery focuses on the ethical and eco-friendly aspects of business. They make their deliveries by bicycle and won the Green Packaging of the Year award. All of their containers are entirely compostable and locally produced. Patty Cake was successfully transferred to a worker cooperative on May 1st, 2013. We have Jenny Scheinbach here, who is the owner of, or the former owner, now she is a worker owner, of the company, and the newly formed company called the Pea Cake All-Stars Cooperative. I wanted to say that slow to make sure I didn't mess it up. Making the company worker-owned. What they're doing now is one of the things they're looking to is expand the business. Like a lot of small businesses that are successful, they want to expand their market, expand their services, and right now you're looking for an area to set up a retail, a cafe, and in addition to the retail operations, a food service and cafe operation. So without further ado, Jenny Scheinbach. Congratulations. Say a word? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We want to get some pictures. Jenny didn't want to say any words. So she was a little.
Oh, no, I couldn't.
No. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
That's what happens when you assume you know why someone says no. But you know, we're all good friends here. You know. The second company I want to honor today is a company for getting your ESOP off to a good start. Yoder Industries, Inc. We've worked with Yoder Industries a few years ago, and it was a project that took a little bit of time. Like a lot of companies, the recession that hit in 2008 kind of threw some plans into slowdown mode for a little bit to kind of get the company back in order. But I'm pleased to say that Yoder came out the other side in good shape. Yoder Industries is down in the Dayton area and began as a privately owned and operated manufacturer of aluminum and zinc coatings. The company was incorporated in 1956 by the Yoder family and was first located in downtown Dayton, but has now moved. What?
Still Dayton area.
Okay, not that. Okay, Dayton area. We'll just leave it at that. They built their first die-cast machine to produce inflator bodies for Navy life preservers, a product that Yoder still makes today. In 1986, Don Yoder purchased the business from the JB, who is the father, correct? Uncle, okay. Man, I need better notes. And in 1997, the second facility was purchased, forming Dayton Die-Cast. In 1998, Tim and Pam Stewart, and your wife is a Yoder, correct? I have that right, okay. Was part of the family and began to acquire ownership in Yoder Industries. And on Don Yoder's retirement, Tim and Pam took over the business. As Tim and Pam started thinking about their succession plan, they thought, well, maybe we could sell this business to the employees. And they did that in, what was I know you just went,
May of 12.
Okay, May of 12, but that was when you went 100%. Did you go 100% right at the beginning? Okay, all right, great, see? Great staff, great. It's good to have great notes. So they are a 100% employee-owned company now with 100 employees. And so without further ado, I am going to stop talking and bring up Tim Stewart from Yoder Industries. Thank you. Thank you. Did you want to say a few words? Okay, yeah.
I'm a little shorter. Let me move this down. I'm just going to say just a couple words here. The process for us was a very pleasant, very enjoyable, very demanding process. And we recommend to everyone who are, thinking about exiting the business that they go in the direction of an ESOP. If any of you want to talk to me more about that, I can do that. My wife and I are just extremely satisfied with where our life is right now from a level of stress and everything else as we've passed a lot of the ownership that way. And my management team and my employees are very happy. We just gave out our first distribution, so people actually got real checks and said, this is real, it's not a gimmick, it's not a trick, I'm really getting some money. And it's been great, and I appreciate Bill McIntyre and Chris and the other folks who were very helpful to me to getting all this, making it happen. Thank you.
Next, I want to bring up that aforementioned Bill McIntyre to present the annual John Logue Award. And for those of you who don't know Bill, but I can't imagine anybody not knowing Bill, Bill is the former director of the Ohio Employee Ownership Center that took over when John Logue unfortunately passed away rather suddenly. And I can tell you from personal experience that there's no better person in my mind to present the John Logue Award than Bill McIntyre, because without him, he helped us get through that transition period quite well. So I'm pleased to bring him up here.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. And I do have some notes also. As Chris mentioned, John Logue was the founder of the OEOC back in 1987 and was its director up until the time of his untimely death in 2009. At that time, we created the John Logue Employee Ownership Excellence Award to be the highest award bestowed annually by the OEOC to the person, organization, or company that contributed the most to employee ownership in Ohio during the past year. The 2014 recipient of the John Logue Employee Ownership Excellence Award is Perry Protech of Lima, Ohio. And Barry Clark is already up here, but would Becky Taylor and the rest of the group from Perry Protech please come forward? Jenny and Christy and Mike and Adam. Yeah. And while they're on their way up, I'll tell you a little bit about the company. The Perry Corporation was founded in 1965 by Rex Perry. After purchasing SMS Protech in 2007, the company changed its name to Perry Protech in 2012. It is a 100% ESOP-owned company and has over 200 employees at its locations in Findlay, Mansfield, Marion, Toledo, Sydney, Ohio, and Fort Wayne, Indiana. The company provides a wide range of services, including multifunction printers and office products, document storage and retrieval, network systems, and managed print services. I've known Barry and Becky for probably about a dozen years as they attended several OEOC programs virtually every year. And beginning about 2010, about the same time that the company established an ESOP communications committee, we began seeing many employees from the company at OEOC programs during the year. And the committee, as well as the leaders, have in particular during the past few years expanded the ownership culture at the company to the point where the company has now taken employee ownership to a high level. It is front and center on their website. It is embedded in their core values, which include accountability, integrity and honesty, mutual respect, teamwork, think like an owner, and just like New Belgium, enjoyable workplace. And it is embedded in their employee education. They have developed a CEO program. Now you might think that's a Chief Executive Officer program, so they're training 100 or more people to succeed Barry, but no, CEO in this case is Certified Employee Owner. The CEO program requires completion of study guides that cover the ESOP Summary Plan Description, or SPD, stock valuation, operation and mechanics, and the company history and core values. An essay is required from each participant, and each is awarded a CEO medallion at the annual participants meeting. The CEO program helps to embed employee ownership into the daily lives of the company's employee owners. Perry Protech has become a model ESOP company. In 2013, the Ohio-Kentucky chapter of the ESOP Association named them as their ESOP Company of the Year. And today, the OEOC is recognizing, and I am honored to present, Perry Protech as the recipient of the 2014 John Logue Employee Ownership Excellence Award. This is Barry Clark.
Thank you, Bill. What an honor. One of the processes that we use at Perry Protech on the onboarding process, all new employees have to come to our headquarters in Lima and interview the executive team. So they interview us, and this is after they're hired. And they're coached on what types of questions to ask, but without failure, I always get the question, what motivates Barry Clark? And without failure and hesitation, I always say, my fellow employees. So on behalf of all those special people, I proudly accept this. Thank you.
We want to make sure we get the picture. Don't push me off the side.
Thank you.
All right. And finally, I think lastly, but not least by any stretch, I want to bring through and announce to you some of the companies that have reached milestones. And we always look at these milestones as being remarkably important because, again, it gets back to my earlier comments. Employee ownership makes for good companies that last and continue to create value for their employees and the communities in which they live. So again, when we looked at all the employee-owned companies that were having milestones, one of the things that stuck out, we have people reaching milestones of 10 years all the way up to 40 years. So we're really pleased today to announce these winners. And what I'd like to ask each of them to do, I know that each one of these companies are present here. If we could just have you come on up to the right, to my right, your left, to get your award, and then come on through, and then line up like all the other convicts over there on the wall. And we'd really like to get some group pictures here. And I think this is one of the things that we really want to show is the breadth and depth of the employee ownership in the room. So I will announce them in order of alphabetical order and numerical by least number of years, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So I'd like to bring up Burke Inc. from Cincinnati, Ohio for 10 years of employee ownership. Trent Key Romick Company in Worcester, Ohio for 10 years of employee ownership. Valcor Environmental from Cincinnati, Ohio for 10 years of employee ownership. ACRT right here in Akron, Ohio for 15 years of employee ownership. Buckeye Corrugated right here in Fairlawn, Ohio for 20 years of employee ownership. Delta Systems in Streetsboro for 20 years of employee ownership. Paul J. Ford and Company, Columbus, Ohio, 20 years of employee ownership. Manteline Corporation, Emmanuel, Ohio, in Portage County, home of Kent State University, 25 years of employee ownership. O.E. Meyer Company in Sandusky, Ohio, 25 years of employee ownership. Jones Hamilton Company in Walbridge, Ohio, 30 years of employee ownership. Menke and Associates in Chesapeake City, Maryland, 30 years of employee ownership. For those of you who don't know, Menke is also a service provider for ESOPs, and they are an ESOP. 30 years. Come on up. And our morning highlight company, the Davy Tree Expert Company in Kent, Ohio, 35 years of employee ownership. Alloy Engineering in Berea, Ohio, 40 years of employee ownership. Come on up. And Penn United Technologies in Cabot, Pennsylvania. We do let some folks in from Pennsylvania. 40 years of employee ownership. Come on up. So we have a ton of people over here. I'd like everyone to please give our 2014 award winners another round of applause.